One of our goals tonight was to bring someone to the stage who could represent the most powerful women community and could set the tone for the next 3 days. Who could we get? Who could we get? And Cathy Engelbert, who was the first CEO of a Big Four, the Big Four consulting firms in America. Cathy became CEO of Deloitte. Cathy has been a huge supporter of Fortune Most Powerful Women, and thank you, Deloitte, for sponsoring. And this, we would have invited her, this has nothing to do with Deloitte. This past summer, Cathy made a switch. She joined Deloitte in 1986, like out of college. And she became the CEO of the WNBA. And the tone we want to set here is that women can do anything, and women are champions, and we're going to talk about inspiration, winning, and championship here tonight with Cathy Engelbert. Come on out, Cathy. Yeah. Thank you for being here. So Cathy, how different is it from running Deloitte?
Going from 100,000 people to 144 players is quite different, I will tell you that. But I was looking for something different, something with a broad women's leadership platform and something I had a passion for. So sports, by the way, isn't that different. It's big business, as you read every day. So it's not as different as everyone thinks. Women's sports is even more interesting. We can get into that, hopefully. But I was joking with a group earlier at the cocktail hour about how I used to be worried about, debt and deficits, trade and tax policy, AI and the future of work, and now I watch ESPN every morning.
So Cathy was born in Philadelphia, grew up mostly in New Jersey, one of 8 children.
Yes.
And what did your parents do for a living, and where were you in the birth order?
So I'm Jen Brady, middle girl, 5th of 8, Marcia. Those who are middle children know that. But 5 brothers, and 3 older, 2 younger, so I was the 4th out in the yard, and I did go on to play college basketball. And my father worked 3 jobs to put 8 kids through university, through college. My mother didn't go to college, but she's the most competitive, smart person I know, and she is still alive. My father passed away years ago. My father was actually drafted by the Detroit Pistons in 1957. When, by the way, his 1-year salary would have been $900. Oh my gosh. And he got a job for a company called RCA for $2,000, and he took the $2,000 job. Wow. The NBA wasn't what it was back then.
So Cathy went to Lehigh, and she played basketball at Lehigh. All right.
Some engineers out there.
Yeah, and I'm from Allentown, so we love Lehigh.
Yeah, Lehigh Valley.
You were the captain of the team your last year. Now, what did you want to do when you were going out, when you graduated from college?
I actually started as a computer science major. I'm one of those who switched out of STEM to accounting, believe it or not, because someone said, Warren Buffett said, I know Warren's a big MPW supporter, accounting is the language of business. And then someone else told me, and you'll get a job. It's like this thing called the Big 8 back then. So. But I switched to business and accounting, and obviously became a CPA, and but did, at 33 years later, 5 different careers within Deloitte later. Again, I couldn't be more proud of the firm and everything it represents, and the diversity and inclusion platform that Deloitte has. But moving on to something different in a second career is a big change. Not having all those resources at your fingertips, big change. But again, I never aspired to be the CEO or the commissioner of the WNBA. But again, it was something I think, and we have a big issue in women's sports right now around money. And less than 5% of all corporate sponsorship dollars in sports go to women, and less than 5% of all media coverage of sports goes to women. This is a big boulder we're pushing up the hill, but we have this huge opportunity with this moment coming off the U.S. Women's Soccer World Cup win There's enormous momentum around the WNBA because the product on the court I inherited is so good. And all men tell me that too, so I know it's good. And then there's this obviously movement around women's empowerment. If we can't take advantage of this moment, this momentum, and this movement, and drive these women to a higher level of recognition and get more corporate sponsorship dollars. So I know there's a lot of big companies in here. I used to be the one that was being courted. Now I'm the one who's groveling for sponsorships. But there's so many assets amongst women's sports that deserve a higher level of attention. And so that's my job. I was hired because of my finance background and to really transform the economics.
So we actually tried to get a member of the world champion Washington Mystics on stage with us. Yep. And 10 days ago, the Washington Mystics, won the championship, the WNBA championship. And here's why we couldn't get them on the stage. Because right after they win the world championship, tell me if I'm right on this, Cathy, the average salary for a WNBA player is $75,000?
It varies, but it's not enough. That's all we need to say. For 34
games in a season, the average salary or pay for total pay, average for an NBA player is $6.3 million?
Probably about right, yes.
$6.3 million, now that's 82 games, so it's like twice as many games, but $6.3 million.
Still not enough.
$75,000, do the math. So this goes back to why we could not get a Mystics player on this stage. Even the best ones, so Elena Delle Donne, who has been at the Most Powerful Women's Summit, thanks to our friend and community member Ellen Coleman, the former CEO of DuPont. Ellen actually befriended Elena Delle Donne, who was the MVP of the Mystics, when she was playing for the University of Delaware, and we had Elena here on this stage a couple of years. Can you tell us, like, what would Elena make?
Well, Elena's one of our few athletes that have national endorsements, so she actually does make a better living. But in the league, not enough. Not enough.
So anyway, my point here is, what these women have to do to survive, to live, is go off to Europe and play basketball.
And Asia. Yes.
And Asia.
Yeah, no.
So all of them are gone.
There's no doubt that the model today isn't working. We want these women. We're in collective bargaining, active collective bargaining negotiations. It expires next week on October 31st. And that ecosystem I was talking about sponsors and media coverage, and the WNBA just concluded its 23rd season. The NBA, by the way, as it entered its 40th season, that's when Larry Bird and Magic Johnson started to put the NBA on the map. They started getting endorsement deals and sponsor deals and TV deals. We can't wait 40 years. We need to pay these women more. We need to give them a better experience as a player. I was a huge beneficiary of Title IX in the 70s into the 80s playing sports. And today our players have Title IX at the college level, same treatment as the men, and then they come into the WNBA, and it's a very difficult transition. So we're working on player experience. We need more fans in the seats. We do not have enough fans, unlike the men's sports get a lot more fans, and we don't have enough TV coverage and sponsorships. And that's what the transformation, not only of the
And this is a money-losing organization that Cathy has walked into, and what a business problem. So there's all this stuff. Low pay. The women can't even be here in the United States to celebrate and promote the teams so that's a problem.
Yep. Working on it.
Okay, working on it, good. But it seems like there are so many issues. How do you choose? How do you prioritize?
It's a perfect business problem whenever you transition to a new role. I did a tour of there's only 12 teams, so this doesn't sound like it should be that hard. 12 teams, 144 players. I did a tour of all 12 markets, downloaded just the other day everything that was on the list, 54 items. And obviously, I'm in my 90th day today on the job.
All right.
And really, really excited to now that the season has concluded. We had a great champion. We had a great series where it went down to the last game and the last quarter and the last 4 minutes. And now we need to work on our TV coverage. And ESPN has been a great partner for the WNBA for a long time. But we've got to have more coverage, more games, more recognition, more sales and marketing capability to drive our players' personalities. These women, they're so socially conscious and community-minded. You know, we actually had one of the best players in the league, Maya Moore, take off this year to go work on prison reform and work with a particular person on death row in Tennessee. And they're so community-minded and socially conscious. And, you know, whether it's around gun control, whether it's around prison reform, the opioid awareness, they just, you know, Girls in STEM, the Mystics held a big Girls in STEM event, and we need more people to step up and sponsor us so that we can, you know, have an economic model to pay the players more and to give them a better travel experience. I mean, the players share rooms in their first couple years. Can you imagine that? And so we need companies to step up and help us fund some of these initiatives.
So what is an example? Cathy doesn't know I'm doing this, but I think this is we would like to be helpful to you. And what is an example of a company that has supported the WNBA in a sort of creative way and a way that has benefited that company?
Yeah, so believe it or not, we really only have one national sponsor, that's AT&T. Every player wears AT&T on the front of their jersey right now. And that's been great sponsorship, the way they activated around a D&I platform, the assets that we have, the All-Star Game. We're going to do things like a Baller Fest, Cup Play. So we have a lot of ideas just coming in now that we're going to expand the game. We'd love to expand beyond 12 cities, because when I talk to a CEO today, they say, well, you're only in 12 cities and I'm in 100. You know, hard to expand, you know, the brand when you're only in 12.
And what do you need to do to expand?
We need to get the economics for our 12 teams. We need to get our players paid more, give them a better travel experience, more fans in the seats. Then down the road, we'll look at expansion, because, you know, look at the Bay Area, for instance. There's no WNBA team in the Bay Area, and if so much of your economy is being driven by technology, and you don't have a team in the largest tech place in the country. So, you know, everybody wants a team, but you need to have people with the financial wherewithal and that know how to run a team. And the depth of talent in this league is amazing. You could be a first-round draft pick in the WNBA and actually not make the team. It's one of the only sports where that happens.
Wow.
Because the depth of talent is so enormous, but when you only have 12 teams, it's very difficult to make the team. But we also have a lot of positive things going on. I want to mention that our USA basketball team, women's basketball team, in Tokyo next year, is going for their 7th consecutive gold medal. And in the 6 gold medals that they've won, their record, 100 wins and 1 loss. This is like a dynasty of massive proportions. And when I was the CEO of Deloitte, I didn't know anything about this. I walk in and someone tells me that, and I'm like, nobody's talking about it. Why is no one talking about this? NBC did their, you know, 1-year run-up in July, even before I started, on the Olympics. They didn't even talk about the women's basketball team. Why is this? Yeah. Because, again, less than 5% of all media coverage goes to women's sports. So we need to change the narrative. Part of my job will be to do that, not just for women's basketball, but women's sports and hopefully women in society more broadly.
Cathy, it's wonderful that you are transferring your power and all your skills to the WNBA. We wish you luck, and thank you for coming back.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.